Good morning, everyone. Introduce you to my back garden real quick here. So just for fun, I've got a little pop knockout rose right here, a little iris. Along the fence, I mounted a cattle panel. Let's see, it's about 6 foot high, and then I've got 4x8 fencing around the whole garden. We have a heavy deer pressure, but the idea behind the cattle panel is I've got blackberries, grapes, and raspberries planted along the border of the whole garden. So the idea will be to trellis the grapes up to about here, have them go across, and then let them grow up and set their fruit, and then below it I have raspberries and blackberries. See how well it works out. My grapes, it's doing very well right now. Got a Brussels sprouts here, beets. Oh, someone's got excited. A little for fun as well. This is some stargazer lilies. Yeah. Water tank, and I am rooting cuttings, and they're sitting in vermiculite and water in a fabric pot. Seems to be working. More grapes, raspberries. One of the things I did want to show, and this isn't normal. This setup right here isn't normal. I set this up so that way I could show y'all for ideas. But this is 6 mil plastic I found at like Home Depot, Lowe's, and it's 25 by 10 foot, I believe. It grows across the entire length, comes all the way down, plus there's extra, and you just seal it off in the front and creates a nice little greenhouse. I set this up for the video so that way I can show you y'all a couple of concepts for a garden. Right now it's not needed during the day. We're already hitting 80, 85 degrees during the day. At night, last night we hit 45. Kind of obnoxious because, as you can see with some of the peppers, it's kind of stunting them. Also, I got a 60% shade cloth. It's 6 foot wide and it goes full length. And you can see it stops right in here, which is good enough. And then what I'm using to support the whole thing is actually a cattle panel that I picked up at a local feed store. It was 16 foot. And I can show you over here how I got it home. That is a 14-foot John boat trailer. And you see it hangs out a little bit out the back. Not a super concern. And gets them here real nice. I used 2 ratchet straps to bend them initially in place. And this is just fishing string, trot line string, holding them into form. Some people use T-post to keep them in shape. Either way, the ratchet straps were great for bending them and while getting it all situated. So it's a 16-foot panel I cut in half. So it's 8 foot. This is about a 4 foot wide bed. So it gave me about 3 feet, about 3 inches of height. For my peppers, I would have liked more, but it didn't make sense to cut one panel at 12 foot and then have like a 4 foot scrap. Yes, I could use the 4 foot scrap for trellising something else, but just made more sense. And I think I'm still going to get plenty of pepper production, even with them not getting as tall as they normally would. As you can see too, I've got weed mat placed down on my 3 beds. I'm hoping this will keep the weeds down. I've also got inside of here, it's hard to see it, but soaker hoses. Now each row has 2 soaker hoses, one on each side and in the center as well. And that also helps keep the soaker hose out of direct light. Water goes straight to the ground. This also helps keep the rain and dirt off my plants, as well as the weed production. Helps keep the bugs down too, which is really cool. Really nice. I really love it for, I've got okras, beets. I really love it for my strawberries, because it keeps almost no dirt on the strawberries ever. There's dirt there because I just replanted him. That is a pink lemonade blueberry. I've got a couple of varieties of blueberries in here. Those more green beans. I'm trying 6 different varieties of green beans. Here's the first variety. There's a second one that's, well, very clearly struggling to come up. There's a third variety. Struggling, not quite so bad as that other one. And then a fourth variety right there. And then my pepper bed actually has 2 other varieties. These are each different varieties of blueberries as well. And this is actually just an ever-bearing strawberry, and it's doing very well right now. I planted them last fall. They didn't do much, anything. I didn't know anything about strawberries back then. I figured I'm gonna give them a try. And now I'm picking strawberries daily. That is a habanada, and he is struggling. But with our weather swings, I am not surprised. 2 different varieties of okra. Last year I grew Clemson. This is Louisiana, and I've got this one. Got it written down. Corn. I got Black Beauty and a long purple eggplants and aromas, beefsteak. And these are broccoli that I planted for a winter garden, and they decided to come up a little late. Pretty sure the tomato's gonna win, but I want to see what the broccoli will do. If I can sneak out at least one harvest, that'd be awesome. More grapes, raspberry. Actually, I think that's a blackberry, and that's a raspberry. This is technically deer netting. See how small that wire is? Or not wire, this is plastic. It comes 7 foot wide and like 100 foot long. Bed one skin, 4 foot wide, so the top overhangs, which works for me. And then I overhang the sides, and then I overhang the bottom. So far, obviously no deer have gotten in here. They can jump that, but it's less desirable. Yes, I love my geese, but he can be sure annoying. This is to help keep the birds out, so that way I can actually get fruit off of these strawberries and these blueberries. These blueberries will get a lot bigger. I've given them 4 foot of room. They'll get apparently like 6-8 foot tall. When I do, I'll readjust the net. But until then, at least I'm gonna get some fruit production. That little blue strawberry survived. That's awesome. On the outside of the garden, because I kind of outgrew my space. Oh yeah. So I've got scorpion, Scotch bonnet, oops, my finger's in the way, ghost, a habanero, and then further down I've got cayennes and Tabasco, 2 Japanese peppers, Shih Tzu, I don't even know how to pronounce it, and some other pepper, an Italian bell, Poblanos, Anaheims. One of these is a goat pepper, which is supposed to be similar to like a cayenne. Got a bird pepper, a hatch. So just all kinds of varieties to give it a try. Last year I grew, 7 ghost peppers. And 3 of them grew 4 foot wide. Not even kidding. So originally I was trying to give my ghost and my scorpion about 4 foot of room. But then I found a Scotch bonnet, and I was like, yes, I've got to have you. Actually, this is my scorpion, and that's my Scotch bonnet right here. That's the scorpion, that's the Scotch bonnet. And that other taller one is the ghost. These are the other 2 varieties of green beans. For this year, they'll be here because I'm trying to see which out of the 6, which one I want to grow from now on. Normally I wouldn't grow 6 different varieties of green beans and quite so many. This is a lot, but give it a try. These are, this one's a scorpion pepper who has not done too well. And that's my ghost pepper that has also not done too well, but I'm gonna see if they can make it. Anyway, and because you've got to have a little fun, I had the knockout rose and bicolor iris, or I think it's also known as an African iris. Just some random onions. Let's see. Now, because I have outgrown the garden, I've started planting on the outside of it. And I've got like cucumbers. Hey, here's one of my babies. Actually, my seeds have come up right here. I started flagging them because in the past, I wouldn't find them. And then here's a squash. Now we're in mid-April, and I started this guy from seed. I've already got baby squash coming. Very cool. Over here, I believe these are watermelons. Right in here. I'm in Texas, zone 8B, bordering 9A. As anyone knows about Texas, we love our bluebonnets. So those aren't a weed to me. They're kind of pretty, actually. More babies. Oh, that's not a baby. This little guy right here is the baby. Another seedling. More. I forgot what some of these were. I think these are zucchini. And then these are, cantaloupe. And the idea is they're going to get runoff nutrition from the garden, but they can grow out into this field. And they're going to get water. As you can see, the garden is actually raised. The original slope was right here. Years ago, I knew I wanted a garden here. Didn't have the time to build it out yet. And I knew I wanted it here. And the soil out here is junk. Absolute junk. So I throw grass clippings, leaves, wood chips, and I just pile them on in this area. When I finally got around to building out the garden, came in here with a tiller, tilled it over like 3-4 times. Had it fluffy and just gorgeous. And then I took and dug my paths out and mound the dirt into the beds. Well, I love the idea of raised beds, except for here in Texas where it's dry as, as all get out of it, and we get some hellacious winds from the north. They're not a great idea sometimes, but I still love the idea of getting away from that cruddier soil and building good organic soil. But I hated the idea too of using cinder blocks. Well, cinder blocks work great actually. I didn't like the idea of using wood. Treated wood's fine, regular wood's fine for a garden. I just didn't like the idea. It's expensive, it rots. So I ended up coming in and filling in between the bed and the low spot where the pathways are, just filled it in with wood chips and just piled them in. And what I love about it is, when I want more organic material, I can literally just dig up my walk path. I'm walking on it. I mean, and it is turning into all of this used to be wood chips. And as you dig in, it just gets better and better. And you see how it's like holding moisture right here. Oh, I almost feel bad now destroying my fungi. Oh well, for the purpose of showing y'all. Fury. Nope, that's a stick. I missed it. There you are. Piece of nail. It goes in the pocket. So anyway, it's like a short raised bed. Oops. And it's just super organic. I love it. Produces some amazing vegetables, amazing fruit. The strawberries this year, I've been harvesting since March. All of them have just been absolutely amazing tasting. I've never had a strawberry that awesome. Oh yeah, so I outgrew the garden. So over here are strawberries. I mean, not strawberries, blueberries. I actually just threw some cow manure, composted cow manure. If you get cow manure that's not quite fully composted, it's fine. Throw it in a pile, let it finish breaking down. I don't have one here yet. That's a placeholder. But just another blueberry. And so the hope, too, get some fruit from them. They'll create a hedge, yay tall, yay wide across. That'll help reduce the wind from pounding and beating the heck out of my garden. And obviously the birds will get to those blueberries, but maybe they'll share a few with me. If not, I have my garden over here. As you can tell, I use a water tank and pond water for watering my garden. The city water out here has so much salts in it that it, thank you, rooster, it is notorious for killing plants and trees. So anyway, part of this also was to create a perpetual garden. The blueberries, the raspberries, the grapes. I don't expect any production from a lot of them this year. If I get a few, I'll be excited. But I do plan that in a couple of years, when these grow up and establish, I'll just be able to come out here and pick fresh fruit. And I am hoping actually with this greenhouse setup that I can overwinterize all my peppers for next year. Because if you can winterize your peppers, they don't have to spend half the season growing. They just start producing. And all of a sudden your production just goes and gets much better. Peppers are not normally they're not an annual plant. It's just they die in the freeze. Where they're native, it doesn't freeze. They live for many years. Being where I'm in zone 8B, and where I came from, which is 9A, we've had such mild winters that sometimes our peppers and tomatoes don't die. And they just keep growing for the next year or two. Well, at 8B, where I'm at now, we get just cold enough. So I'm hoping with something as simple as this, they might be okay. Anyway, hope this helps. Oh, yeah, I'll show y'all this real quick. So I had one piece left over of this cattle panel that I was using for greenhouses. And the hope, most tomato cages are not meant for tomatoes. They're just too small. This is Aroma. He is a determinate style. He will only get so big and he will stop growing and start fruiting. However, this guy right here is a beefsteak. He's an indeterminate with a flower on him. Cool. He's a determinate. He will get as big as he possibly can. And so the idea was, I've got him supported with a string right now to help keep him off the ground. But the idea is he'll grow up into this, and through it, you'll be able to reach your hand in here to pick fruit or whatever. But this will give him a lot more support than, say, nothing, or than a little cheesy tomato cage. So this is a new idea I'm going to try, because I had the panel, I had the tomato. Figured, what the heck? And it's all learning experience. And I'm growing a couple of, it's actually 2 different varieties of carrots. And originally I planted the carrots back when I thought I was going to plant something else in there, and the carrots decided to come up, and the corn did as well. I might, actually, there's a 3 Sisters, I think is what it was called. We grow a pole bean next to a corn, and the pole bean grows up the corn. And then you grow a squash in between the corn. So I'm tempted to borrow part of that idea and maybe plant a pole-in green bean along the corn. I'm kind of curious to see how well it works. It sounds like it would work very well. The idea's been out forever. I wouldn't mind giving it a try. Anyway, and I hadn't heard about it until a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't heard of it, it was like Three Sisters or something. It's corn, a pole-in green bean, and a squash, like a summer or winter squash. And the idea is the green bean grows up the corn. You've got this weird space in the middle. You plant the squash. The squash kind of covers the ground for weed suppression, keeps your soil moist because you don't have the sun beating directly on it. The corn can grow up. It's a cool concept. As far as the weed mats, so far I like them a lot, but I know in time it's going to make it harder to add nutrition to it. One of the things I do plan on doing is top dressing when the plants get bigger. Maybe top dressing with compost or compost manure or something. The strawberries, my understanding is they're heavy feeders. I love that the berries stay real clean and keeps the bugs off. So I'm going to have to figure out how I want to try to amend that soil when the time comes. Originally, my thought was lay down the weed mat. When winter comes and wipes out the garden, pull up the green mat, the weed mat, re-amend the soil, putting compost, wood chips, whatever, compost on top, and then put the weed mat back down. We'll see. We will see. It's just all an experiment to me. And I think I'm going to really love it for this blueberry and fruit patch for weed suppression. I hate pulling weeds. It's just so many weeds. I mean, out here, oh my God. Between the little birds, I love the little birds. They eat all kinds of bugs and seeds and stuff. But between the birds and the bugs and the wind, just weeds everywhere. They just come up like crazy. There's Bella. Anyway, hope y'all enjoy the video. Hope maybe it gave you some ideas or motivated somebody to start planting. I will talk to y'all later.